And then I went through the application process. I recorded a vlog on this camera so you can see how bad the quality is. Like, I record my YouTube videos on an actual camera.
Yeah.
And I recorded a vlog answering, it's like, hello, my name is Brit. I would like to work for you, please. Thank you. And I was the only person that did that.
Welcome to ScavTalk, an Escape from Tarkov podcast with a continuing focus on development of the game, patch note analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I'm one of your hosts. I do video editing and live streaming.
I'm GigaBeef, a YouTube content creator for Tarkov, helping you get better at the game. And today we have a special guest, aSarcasticBrit, who is not just Pestyly's editor, but Pestyly's ex-editor, in fact. So I think is it 1 week now? 1 week since you've been
like quit last
unchained
week.
From the big man.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, welcome, Brit. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been a while that we had it planned because we only do one guest every month or so, and so it does take us actually a while to kind of get to people, but definitely worth it. I think the timing's worked out for this. So welcome, and I guess like just to get started, like most of the questions I'm going to ask you to begin with is going to be around just your background of like how you got into stuff. Like, firstly, how did you get into EFT to begin with in Tarkov, and kind of what's your background in terms of games? And like everyone's got a different progression and I don't know, like path, I suppose, on like how they got to Tarkov. It's never just like random out of the blue, except for maybe Jesse Kazam. But I think he's a bit of an edge case. So yeah.
My background in games. As soon as I got an Xbox 360 and I discovered Xbox Live, I was hooked on upsetting people, like just being better than them, right? That was like my thing. Like, I played Gears of War to death, and just knowing that I was just upsetting someone on the other side of anywhere, it brought me great pleasure. So like, that was when I really fell into like this hole of be the Chad, right? And then over the years, I've had various like gaming hooks, but I've always been into competitive whatever. And someone showed me Tarkov in 2016 when the first like video came out.
Wow.
If you show, I can't remember the video off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was like some footage at customs, and they were playing very properly. And I was like, oh, this looks incredible. And I read the blurb and was like, this is sick. I have to get involved. So I purchased the Edge of Darkness version in January 2017 before we could even play it.
Oh my goodness! Straight off the bat, that's a commitment.
Because I saw it and I was like, yeah, keen. And then I played it when it first came out, and I was terrible at it. It was a whole different game. Everything looked different, everything felt different, everything played different. But yeah, I got into it just because I looked at it and I thought, this is what I need. Because it was like a mixture of competitive and also like the grinding and the acquisition style games. I'm into MMOs, I'm into dungeon crawlers and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of took a bit from that and a bit from that and a bit from that.
I think that's definitely the case, right? It's like it's quite an interesting thing because it kind of brings people in from lots of different places. Like, what game were you playing at the time? Were you playing something else at the time when EFT appeared, or?
I was actually really into League of Legends at the time.
Okay.
I was going through that phase because of the I played nothing but ranked. I never warmed up with normal games. Never did anything. Like, I play quite a lot of Tekken. I don't warm up. I go straight into ranked because that's where the fun is, over there. Like, winning or losing and going through the like roller coaster of emotions. So I was playing a lot of League at the time, and I needed a shooter because I'd played too much Counter-Strike and I couldn't play any more Counter-Strike. And I needed... The problem with games like Counter-Strike was that the depth wasn't there for me. Whereas Tarkov, as you guys know, it's got like all these different layers, and I'd play Counter-Strike to get my shooter fix. I'd play, I don't know, maybe an RPG to get like my reward for this fix, and then I'd play like a dungeon crawler to get my grind fix.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Tarkov covers all those three bases. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, it sounds like you've got quite like a diverse base of kind of games that you play, which is quite interesting. And as you say, it kind of picks into all of those. Actually, just like random point I wanted to mention, because you touched on something and it reminded me of kind of the philosophy of like either playing only ranked or people who play kind of a mixture. And I remember back, because like I haven't played anything that's ranked for a while, but the thing that was closest to that was when I was playing Dota 2. It's very similar to League. And then there's kind of like the two schools of thought, which is interesting about like whether you only play ranked and your rank represents the average of your play, like just the whole of your play, like just you, or whether you only play ranked when you're feeling really good about it, and then your rank represents the best of your ability. So technically speaking, your rank would actually be very slightly higher, but it only is a small subset of your play when you're actually feeling really good. And it's quite interesting, those two schools of thought. It's like, whether you think that you're going to benefit more from only playing ranked, and then because you're always playing the hardest version because people are actually trying properly, or whether you're better off just kind of mental, because it's such a mental game, right? When you're playing these like competitive things and you're adding and losing MMR every time you play, and it's difficult, especially in a team game. So yeah, Tarkov's it's quite nice actually not to have to think about that.
It's
You get
nice not having a rank.
Yeah, for sure.
As soon as you're playing ranked and you have something to lose and something to gain, it changes everything.
Exactly.
There's lots of really interesting studies on people who played games like Rocket League that hid their rank for a whole season, and they actually reached like peak levels of MMR by not knowing where they were whilst they were playing, versus like the season before where they went through the emotions of being like, oh, do you know what? I'm about to lose this match, which means I'm about to have wasted the last hour of my life, which means I'm not going to get this promotion or this thing or whatever it is. So
yeah, it's fascinating. The psychology of it's really interesting. So yeah, we're kind of like, I guess that's why you end up people just comparing ruble count in Tarkov, because there's not really any other way of, other than like level. There's not really any way of like
PMC
comparing.
kills or
PMC kills, and that, I guess
like
PMC kills. I guess is why people put it up on their stream. They say 10,000 PMC kills or 4,000 or whatever, because that's the one aspect of it, and then there's also the economy side of just like how much money you have, and what level your character is, and there's kind of like none of those things specifically actually dictate kind of like your skill level. So it's kind of nice that it's sort of hidden from all of us in some ways, and that we just all get screwed by the game continuously.
Yeah. Tarkov wins every time. We never win.
From Tarkov on a completely separate branch, clearly, right, your main deal, the big game for you is the whole editing thing. Have you been a professional editor forever? Did you train for it? Is it something that you kind of just like picked up? You were doing something else and that you learned it over time and decided this could be really fun and that kind of thing? Like, how did that side of this work for you?
The short answer is no. The long answer is my life has been an absolute fucking roller coaster. Like, I didn't do amazingly well at school. I did okay. I hit that for the UK people at home. I hit that average like 5 to 10 A star to C, like GCSE kind of banding, right? So I was like right in the middle of the pack. Part of it is because I didn't try because I was playing Xbox. Part of it was because I didn't really see the future benefit. But then I actually wanted to be a copper for
oh, really interesting.
The longest of times. I wanted to be a copper. And then there was a bunch of like public sector budget cuts. Whilst I was at college doing this like Army, Navy, Air Force, police kind of force thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd also been accepted into like the specials, which is the voluntary police. And the career path didn't look appealing anymore. And my brother is a software dev guy. I couldn't even put a title on his job for all I know. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, go and learn IT. So I went to uni in 2011. So I actually have a degree in games development.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I turned up on day one and I was in a much better physical shape than I am now. But imagine like a fit a person walking into a room full of non-fit people that wanted to go and do games dev, but we all had the same thing in common, that we loved games. But everyone looked at me and were like, the sports studies rooms are down the hall, dude. And I was like, no, I'm in the right place. This is games dev 101, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, cool, teach me some code.
That's so funny.
Right. So I did that, and I stuck that out. And we did some video editing, we did some audio design, we did 3D modeling, we wrote C#, we wrote Lua, we wrote a couple of other very niche languages as well. And when I graduated, I tried to get a job in that field.
Yeah.
I sucked.
It's super competitive, right? Like going into game dev is insane, I think.
The problem I had was that I didn't specialize in anything.
Right.
And the course I did was actually really generalist. And I'm not that great at maths, so my coding was just crap. I really enjoyed the creative side of it. So like I got quite into 3D modeling and things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, because I wasn't incredible and I didn't have anywhere near as good a skill set as these people that had come out of the 3D modeling degree.
Yeah.
They were getting the jobs. So I ended up working in sales for like most of my 20s.
Interesting.
I had quite a successful sales career. I did pretty well.
Yeah. What were you selling?
I went from selling cars to working for Rightmove.
Okay.
Rightmove, yeah. So I sold advertising to estate agents. So I took estate agents' money, which was
great.
Like I was a hero amongst a certain class of people. That was a great job, and then I got myself fired. And like while I was trying to work out what to do, I started streaming.
Okay. So here it comes. Okay, so you were streaming first.
Yeah, I was streaming for a bit. And
and what were you streaming? Were you streaming Tarkov?
No, I was streaming Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay.
Big into Rainbow Six. So I was streaming Siege. I got in with a few Siege creators, made friends with them, and I was actually trying to hustle a little bit. So I was designing emotes and sub badges. And then a friend of mine his stream was doing really well. I said, oh, I used to edit videos when I was at uni, because I actually had a YouTube channel for a year or so, doing Let's Plays and little bits. My best friend started a FIFA YouTube channel, and I was like, I want to do that, but not FIFA. What can I do? Can you teach me? And he was like, yeah, I'll teach you everything you need to know. So he taught me some stuff, and that channel was shit. But by today's standards, if you saw that channel, you would have burnt it to the ground. The channel was terrible. It doesn't exist anymore because it was actually my full name. So whenever people used to look me up to try and like purchase things from like, whether it was from Volkswagen or from anywhere, they would see my YouTube channel.
It would come up, yeah.
It was really embarrassing. So I had to delete it, which I wish I didn't, because I'd love to see some of those terrible videos now and just show them to people. But yeah, I ended up doing some videos for free for a Rainbow Six YouTuber.
Okay.
And then someone he knew said, how much are you paying?
Mm-hmm.
I want him to do some videos for me as well. And I sat there and I was like, he doesn't know I'm not charging him anything. So I was like, £25 a video? Question mark. Okay, sure. So
and I guess he said yes, right? And
yeah, he was like, cool. I don't know how much editors cost, like whatever. And I was like, I don't know how much editors charge. I don't know what's going on. So that was my first like paying client.
That's super cool. That's so random, but like that's so cool as well.
Yeah, to say I fell into it is one way to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a very basic skill set, so that when it was asked of me, I could create.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up and go, oh, I've never edited a video before in my life. This looks like fun. Let's do that. It was, I already had like a very basic understanding of what was going on.
Got you. Okay.
And I was still unemployed. So I was like, Sure.
Yeah, you're like, there's money, and it's something that's kind of interesting, and you hone your skills and whatever. So then, like, how many leaps was it from there to get to working for Pestily? How did that opportunity even come out? Did he like advertise and you applied for it, or what was the deal?
The leaps were huge. I did. This is where it starts to get a bit stupid, because when I say it out loud, it's pretty ridiculous. But I was working for this guy that was basically like a very, very small nobody. And then through him, I was introduced to another streamer, and I was like, I want to work for that guy because he had this personality that was just incredible. And I saw the talent, and I was like,
okay.
That's a future full-time streamer right there. So I was like, I joined his stream, and I actually made his sub badges for him. But then I didn't speak to him for months. And then I jumped back into his stream, and literally after about half, I was like, "Oh, hey," and he was like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm all good." And this was in October 2019, right? And he was like, "Oh, I need a YouTube guy. Do you know anyone?" And I was like, "I'm a YouTube guy, right?" So October 2019, I shake hands with this guy. I make a trial video. He says, "Yeah, great, cool. Let's do business." So we agree terms. It was about $250 a month or something. I made like a video a week, and it. I was in a negative the whole time because it took ages to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts getting some traction. He starts building some contacts because of how ridiculous he is, right? He phones me up in January 2020 and says,
Okay.
"Right, do you want to come to Canada with me in February?
Wow.
We're going to go to the Rainbow Six World Championships. I will introduce you to everyone." And I was like, I cannot afford that. Like, I found a job that was paying dog shit, right? I could not straight afford that. It was like a $700 flight, plus all of the money for the ticket, plus all the money for the food, plus everything else. Because I don't know, you go on holiday and you're like, this holiday's only going to cost a bit, and then when you get there, you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, a bottle of water is $10. Right, this is bad. But so I got a credit card. Okay, I got I got a credit card. I turned around to him. I was like, "Look, I can't afford it. I'm sorry, I can't go." And a week later, he phoned me again. He said, "What if you could afford it?" And I was like, "What are you saying?" He was like, "I will pay for you to come out. I'll pay for you to come out. I'll give you a camera. Follow me around and film me." So I was like, "Hang on." And I walked into the other room. I said to my fiance, I said, "Do you mind if I fuck off to Canada next month?" And she was like, "Do it. Do it. Go." Because the opportunity was huge.
Yeah. So exactly. You basically have to say yes. If you get that chance, you just have to do it.
Exactly. We go to Canada. He introduces me to everyone. And I mean everyone. Like, we were at this bar that was exclusive to Ubisoft staff, players, and anyone that was kind of cool enough to kind of come in.
Yeah.
But I was playing pool against members of Fnatic, and
that's so cool.
The G2 roster was next to me, and then there was million plus sub YouTubers on the tables. There was a big pool bar. Yeah. There was million plus YouTubers. Basically, everywhere I looked, someone was rich. Like, I was the poorest person in that room, and everyone was everyone. And I was playing against a pro player for E United, and I beat him so many times at pool. He offered me editing work. And then I met another guy at the bar that offered me some editing work. And then I met a guy that owns an esports company that does the lower ranks and the lower leagues. So all of these guys are like, "Oh, you're an editor, you're an editor." Yeah. And I was the only editor in the room.
See, that's insane. That's insane.
Because no one else had flown their editor out.
So you got a ton. So you basically just got a ton of contacts, a ton of opportunities from all these different people.
Mm-hmm. And I get home, I start working away. I'm doing all of these bits. I get tagged in a tweet by one of the guys that I've met in Canada. And it was the Pestily tweet, "I'm looking for an editor." And I remember sitting there looking at it going, I'm not ready for this. And then this little voice in the back of my head was like, whatever, just do it. You got on a plane and flew to Canada with a bunch of strangers that you met on the internet like months before. Like I rolled into a hotel room and I rolled into this hotel lobby, and the guy that had flown me out was like 4 hours behind me, but he phones me and goes, oh, all of these people are going to meet you there. And I was like, I don't know what any of these guys' faces look like. So I'm looking for the nerds. And I saw some guys wearing like a Rainbow Six jacket, and I was like, Jacob? And he was like, Brit? I was like, hey, okay, cool. So let's go get McDonald's.
Like once you got one in, then that's it. Because then you're introduced by that person, right? You just got to get that one person.
I shot that shot there, and I thought I'll shoot my shot again.
Yeah.
And then everyone that I'd met in Canada basically did that vouch thing on Twitter. My like recommendations list, like if you pull up the tweet, I replied to it saying, oh, I've applied for this. And then underneath is vouch with tons of people that have got like verified ticks next to their name. It's like pro players, content creators, casters, all these people that I'd met and had really good interactions with in Canada were backing me up. And then I went through the application process. I recorded a vlog on this camera so you can see how bad the quality is. Like I record my YouTube videos on an actual camera.
Yeah.
And I recorded a vlog answering, it's like, hello, my name is Brit. I would like to work for you, please. Thank you. And I was the only person that did that. So he was like, I'm impressed with the extra mile that you went. Because I'm thinking, how do I get this guy's attention?
It makes sense. It makes sense. You got to stand out. You got to do something.
How do I get this guy's attention? How do you do it? Exactly. Like, as silly as it sounds, right? If you had the opportunity to work for PewDiePie, tons of people are going to be applying for that. How do you stand above everyone else? Because so when on the first application for when I applied, and that was how I got the job, went through the application process. There was 210 people.
Yeah.
On this round of people, when I handed in my notice and we started looking for someone to come in and take over the reins, there was 505 or something. So if you're on average going up against 10 people for a normal civvy street job, if you're looking for this kind of work, you kind of
it's just like a whole other level of crazy.
450 of those 500 people didn't even own computers. They were just shooting their shot because
why not? Yeah,
why not, right? Might get on the phone with Pestily, might not. But you still need to be louder than them.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because your time in sales actually probably helped that in a lot of ways. Just like understanding about from the perspective of someone else and going, okay, so what are they're going to be looking at me, and how am I going to be perceived? It's kind of what sales is about, really, and about trying to present what you have in the best way you can and stand out, that kind of thing. So it's funny how like you've got like such a chaotic path leading up to getting this job. And then so once you got it, was it just you, or was like how many other editors? Like how does that actually work with Pestily? I guess we can get more in depth about like your time with him with some questions now, but I was just thought of that off the top of my head. It's like how big actually is the team?
When he interviewed me, he was like, do you reckon you could do all this work? And I was like, yeah, of course. He hired 2 people because he knew. And funnily enough, Frankie, who started with me, I think he said the same thing, because we were both just like, we want this.
Yeah.
Like so bad. We wanted it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was panicking because I was like, what if I can't keep up? What if I can't do all of this stuff? My anxiety levels were through the roof. But as soon as he said, I've hired 2 editors, I was like, oh my God, that's actually epic.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I've hired this guy called Frankie. He's incredible. He's really, really good. I think you'll learn a lot from him, and I think you got some things to teach him. So I've been blessed with like working with this like absolute hero of a guy for the past year who's taught me heaps. Hopefully I've taught him heaps. But in terms of like the wider team, there's a few people. Like there's 3 editors.
Okay.
So
yeah, Because I remember actually, like there was a Pestily Unmasked video actually, and he was talking about like I think was it on his Unmasked one? He did like a big Q&A.
AMA.
Yeah, and he was just like talking about someone asking some like slightly awkward questions about revenue and that kind of thing. But he referenced the number of people that he's having to pay, and there's like a huge team. It sounded like in the background, like working on his stuff, which is fair enough. He's running a big enterprise, really. So it does make sense.
There's a few of us doing a few different things. All of it is to benefit the business, and he doesn't pay anyone poorly either. It's you hear a lot of horror stories about editors and designers or mods or anyone in and around this industry being treated badly. I had to move house to do this job, and Pestily put his hand in his pocket and said, "Here's some money. Like, get yourself sorted. Get moved. This should hopefully tie up any loose ends because I had some contracts to terminate and whatnot. And he was like, this should tie up any loose ends and help with the moving costs." And I was like,
awesome. That's awesome. Honestly, that is awesome.
Okay.
And that's the thing, though. That's how you keep people for a decent amount of time. That's how you keep people on side. You want people to want to work for you, right? Because you just screwing people over, they're just going to go eventually, and they're going to be unhappy when they do, and then other people aren't going to want to. And I think it's probably even more important in this kind of industry where it's such the pool of people. It's not that big. Like everybody knows everybody else, right? And so if you get a reputation for not treating people well, that's going to get out so quickly, right? It's not like you're trying to do a piece of business like somewhere random and and you're just selling a car to somebody who's lives nowhere near you and you're never going to see them again, right? It's like the content creation industry is big, but the individual personalities are their own. Like each person is quite sensitive to that reputation, right? And
what content creators need to understand is editors and designers talk to each other. Quietly or loudly, we talk to each other. I've got a list of people to avoid working for. I'd never even fall in on their radar, but I'm part of a server of editors that has a blacklist and reasons why. Whether it's poor payment, bad treatment, and it's all evidenced, and it's all it's not just people going blah, 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 blah. It's pretty tribunally, watch out for this guy, watch out for this guy. But what editors and designers need to realize is that the content creators talk to each other as well. And it's such a reputation-based industry. When I turned around to my mum, right, and was like, "Oh, I'm finally going to do this thing. It's finally happening. I've been grinding away for a long time. I'm finally going to do this thing." She was like, "Oh, have you got it in writing? Have you got a contract? Have you got all these things?" And I was like, "No, not yet. I will get a contract." "Well, get a contract first." "It doesn't work like that, Mum. It doesn't work like that. It's a trust-based thing."
It definitely is, and it's partly because the formalization of the industry is still in its infancy, right? I think that's partly the reason. It's just there hasn't been the time for this stuff to come through, and I think also it's kind of an interesting one because even though it is a big business for a lot of people didn't start it that way. And so even though people grow into becoming a business person around the content around their channel, around whatever it is that they're doing, streaming, whatever, half the time it wasn't how they kind of originally it wasn't really the plan. And so it's not like it's filled with big companies or anything like that. And so there's no formalized process, right? It's like a bunch of individuals talking to a bunch of other individuals. Maybe people are setting up companies or whatever to run these things out of, but it's just one-on-one relationships. It's not like a business to business thing like you get elsewhere with other stuff, with people with teams of lawyers and there's templates for contracts and this kind of stuff. It's just it just hasn't happened yet. And
it's slowly moving into more of that stuff creeping up.
Which is good and bad, right? It's good and bad.
It will have its advantages. It will have its disadvantages. We'll just have to see where it goes. I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't want to normalize stuff like that. I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't even anonymously like to say, "This is how much I earn." just so that someone could pull together some data and say, the average editor charges this much for a 10-minute video. I think even anonymously, people don't want to put that data out there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, maybe they think they charge too much, and they don't want their clients to go, hang on a minute, or maybe people don't charge a lot, and maybe they feel like a bit embarrassed. I don't know. It's
difficult.
It's a really tricky one. I mean, people turn around to me all the time, and I was told as a kid, like, you don't ask someone how much they earn.
Yeah.
You don't ask someone about their business. Maybe you ask them what they do, and you ask them if they enjoy it. But I have people randomly say to me, how much do you charge? And I'm like, it ain't that simple.
Exactly. And it depends too, right? Like, it depends on what. It's just like, what are you talking, like full time, only working with one person, or like working with different people per video? Like,
do you just want a TikTok?
Like, yeah, like it really depends. Like, it really depends. Okay. So there's so many questions I could ask you. It's actually insane. Church, like, is there anything that you have, like, to that you, like, a burning question at this point? Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep going. Otherwise,
no, I'm just here to pick my brains, man. Pick my brains. I've been behind the curtain for a year.
Exactly. Okay, so
is there any particular reason why you stopped working for Pestily?
Yeah, I got a really fucking good offer and I couldn't say no.
That's a pretty good reason.
Like, it had nothing to do with Paul. It had nothing to do with the team.
Yeah.
I love the team. They're such good people. Paul and Christina, so Pestily and Kickerly, to the uninitiated, are like incredible, right? To put it in perspective, not only did they like help me out moving house, but like my fiance had 2 cancer scares last year, and throughout both of those cancer scares, they were in contact. Like, how's she getting on? What's going on here? They sent a gift basket. Like, when I told her I was leaving and I accept the offer, my fiance was like tearing up because she was like, they're such nice people. Like, it has nothing to do with the team or the job. But 2 YouTubers agreed to deal with me, and they have a combined 10 mil subs, and it's a different style of editing. So there's more things to learn. They have a whole new network, so it's more people to meet. It's a change of pace. So I'll be editing less videos overall, spending more time on each one to kind of get it real good.
Yeah.
So
which kind of genre is that? I assume it's more gaming stuff, I imagine.
Yeah, it's VR comedy and sort of second channel stuff as well. So these guys are like in the top tier of like VR YouTubers.
Amazing.
Where they do all of this just crazy VR nonsense, right? It's like ADHD on ADHD on ADHD stuff. It's insane. Like, it's mad. And they've all sort of gone, well, we can't just do VR stuff, let's do other things. But because of the algorithm, so they got and made second channels.
Right.
And they actually have been editing for themselves almost the whole time. Like, up to one of the guys, I think he said it was like up to about 6 mil subs on YouTube, and he didn't call in an editor.
It's pretty impressive.
Mad. That's mad to me. I think that's crazy. But like,
I think probably at that point,
style.
right? If you're, I think that's the issue, right? It's like people have control over their own content, and it's like, even if somebody is better at you technically at like Premiere or whatever, it's like, will they do it in the style that you want them to, even if they're really good,
Yeah.
And will it change stuff? I think there's a fear there, but I think once you get to 6, I think that's probably a lot, because the channel's like presumably making so much money at that point that you can afford to get somebody who's really good, who's going to spend time with you.
You could bring in a whole team.
Yeah, exactly. You've got like a whole production crew and everything.
Yeah. You could have a different person edit each minute of footage if you wanted to. Like, you could go crazy with it. But
exactly,
it was a trust-based thing. And I think where they struggled was where there's a lot of editors, the talent pool is quite small. So there's all of these editors, this many are employable, this many are actually able to do what they want. and then there's this many that they can actually trust to do it. Which is where it becomes more than just a skill set, and it becomes a.
And then also, like, the only way that you can know that is, again, through the network, through people saying this guy's good, or he's been working for me for ages, or this is the kind of thing that this person does, or this person's reliable, this person isn't reliable, and it's all just relationship at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's like
just touching on one. Oh, sorry, no, you go first, Judge.
I was just gonna say, it's just like the anonymity of the internet. You know, it's just like some Joe Schmo can be like, "Yeah, I'm an editor," you know, and he's like doesn't even have a PC, like you were saying earlier. It's just like that reputation system is just so important.
It is insane. No, what I was going to say is you touched on like the volume before. So I know Pestily puts out a lot of content. Like, how do you think that? Because I'm actually trying to remember where this coincided, because there was a stage, right? So obviously everyone's known Pestily for a long time, and I stumbled upon Pestily stuff when I first started playing EFT. So I first started as a player, and then started becoming a content creator after playing. So it's probably like been a content creator for like a year, and then I've been playing EFT for like 2.5 years, something like that. So like known Pestily the whole time. And when I was starting to look into content, that kind of stuff, I remember noticing, and this might actually have coincided with when you turned up in the first place, there was a step change in the content that he was making, because I think he referenced somewhere, or somebody referenced somewhere, and this was ages ago, that he was a little frustrated with the slowdown of the growth of his channel. And I think at that point he was probably at like 250k subs or something, but he was getting like not as, he was getting decent views, but it wasn't actually growing or anything. And then I remember noticing there was a change in the thumbnails, a change in the way that all the stuff actually got done. And this may well have coincided with when you joined. I'm not sure. But like, how do you feel?
That was exactly when we walked in.
How do you feel that the channel then has kind of evolved from what he was doing previously? Because like, and this is actually the funny thing, because like a lot of streamers and YouTubers are kind of accused of being quite lazy in general, and I think especially streamers, because you just kind of turn the camera on and you just go. Whereas like Pestily has always been one of like the hardest work. It's obvious to see that he's like one of the hardest working content creators that I have ever seen in my entire life, right?
Yeah.
But I think beforehand he was possibly working hard and not necessarily working smart, which is why he hired the editors and you guys and that kind of stuff, and like change things up to try and actually get more out of the effort that he was putting in, that kind of thing.
I'd agree with that. I think the major turning point, and this is, you know, this is what he sort of said to us, was that he knew what he wanted to do, but there was a skill gap there. You know, Pestily made his first 500 videos himself. And if you watch them, you can see that Pestily's made them, because you watch the first one and he's gotten gradually better at editing videos over time. But then the stream got really busy. Like the stream just pops off, and suddenly it's like, right, this is serious now. But he doesn't have the time to dedicate to learning the skills that, you know, Frankie's been editing for 6+ years or something stupid. You know, I've been doing it for 2 at this point, and then I did a stint way back. And he just went, right, this is what I want to do, but I don't have the skill set to do it. I wonder if we bring people in, and then we basically double down on the fact that with the increase in production value, you'll hear him use the word production value a lot, right? It's a really important thing to him, the production value and being the best quality it can be. So he's gone, if I can bring in professionals and I can deliver them the content, we can create this really high production value product. And then that will increase in growth of the channel, and will then pay their wages and then pay my wages. And then we'll go like this.
Yep.
So we came in, Frankie came in first and just hit the ground running. He's, you know, there was a lot of trial and error, trying this, trying that. That works, that doesn't work, get rid of that, do this, bring that in, try this thumbnail, try that thumbnail, do all of these things. Immediately everybody's like, what's going on here? Everyone's gone, whoa, this is cool, kind of like this. And then I started like a month after, and suddenly we're doing 3 videos a day at that standard. And last check, it was like 480k subs, but in the year, the channel went from like 220 to 480.
Yeah.
And all we've been trying to do is just make the better quality stuff. Just do that. So that was the strat. It was a skill. It was a skill gap.
So before you guys turned up, Pestily was just editing all the stuff himself, right?
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah.
He was getting about 4 hours sleep a day for about 2 years.
Yeah, it is insane. It's actually one of the things that I vastly underestimated, I think, when I first started doing this stuff, is just like the sheer amount of time it takes to make something. And also like it's because I'm clearly editing all my stuff too, right? I'm a very small creator in comparison to Pestily. It doesn't make any economic sense for me to try and outsource any of it. And right now, like at some point, maybe I'll figure it out. But like at the moment, it's just kind of, you know, the sort of passion side hobby, and I'm enjoying the whole process, and editing and all that kind of stuff. But is it like it's interesting getting to the point of being like, previously I'd be like, I'd edit something as best as I could, and it would take, it would take a long time. It would take me like 10 hours to make like a 10-minute video or something. And that's just in the edit. And then now, like the stage I'm at now is like, I know what kinds of content I can make that's going to take different amounts of time. If I know I'm going to have more time, I can make some of the more intensive stuff that I know is probably better quality, or it's like it's different. It's something that is different that I want to do, rather than something that I know is just going to work and is going to be quicker. But then even within that now, like I'm sort of getting to that point of being like, I could spend another 3 hours and the video will be better, but is it then worth that extra time for me to go and do that, rather than starting working on the next one? And so that's something that I didn't put as much weight on. I thought like, oh, I'm just gonna, because I didn't know anything about video editing when I started, right? And it's just like, I thought, well, I'll just like keep going and I'll get better at it and it'll get better. But the problem is, the better that you get at it, the more that you want to do. And so then it ends up just taking, like the video gets better, but it takes you the same amount of time.
Yeah, you get really hooked into it because you're like, oh, look at this really cool thing that I made. I actually really enjoyed making it, but it gets the same amount of views as it would have if you just thrown it up raw.
And that kind of thing. It's
you end up in the spiral.
It's difficult, and you have to be quite careful. You have to be quite sensible with it, unless you're being able to outsource it to other people, and you're over that tipping point where it starts to make sense, where you can have somebody who you trust and understands your style is going to put something out that you know is good. So like, did you guys like split it up? Like, which videos did you do, and or did you just kind of, whichever one came next, you both, you did whichever one was the next in the queue kind of thing?
It changed over the course of the year how we did things strategically. I mean, at first, Frankie was making the raid series and I was doing guides and highlights. And then we introduced the hardcore stuff, and I could make 10 episodes of hardcore in a day. And then Frankie got a bit tired of just doing the raid series, so I jumped on to do the raid series, and then he did everything else.
Okay.
The way that it worked, the strategy that we implemented at the beginning of this wipe was that every Monday we would have a meeting, and it would be content meeting for the coming week, and it was every Monday morning for UK people, about 5 p.m. Australia time. We'd sit down, we'd have a chat for an hour or 2 or 3, depending on where in the wipe we are.
Yeah.
The further through the wipe, the longer the meetings got, and the more we spoke about fishing than Tarkov. But that's a whole other where the wipe is a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And in that meeting, we'd go, right, you're doing this, you're doing this. Everyone happy? Yeah, cool. Go. And then
so you'd have your weekly meeting and then split out your tasks from there.
Yeah, and I'd look at it and go, I can get that done in 3 days if I don't sleep. So Monday, smash it out. 8 a.m. to midnight Tuesday, 8 a.m. to midnight Wednesday. Thursday I'm on call. Friday I'm on call. Saturday I'm on call. Sunday I'm on call. Or I can do 4 hours work a day, right? Now,
You're basically
it didn't
just
always work
flexible,
out
right?
like that.
Yeah,
it didn't always work out like that because Nikita likes to just throw patches out at midnight on a Friday. He also likes to wipe on. He also likes to wipe on Christmas Eve.
That was a good one.
Thanks, mate.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Christmas was great. Stuff comes up. So sometimes you'll smash a load of bits out, and then you'll have done your week's work, and then something just pops up, and you just have to get on with it, right? It is what it is, right? So some weeks you're chaos, some weeks you're in the middle, some weeks you're not so much. I got really good at doing stuff really fast.
I think you have to, especially with that volume. The volume that was my that channel actually pushes out. It's insane.
Yeah. Whether it was the highest quality stuff that we could have made, like you said, do you spend an extra 10 hours making a thing, or do you make an extra 10 things?
Yeah.
And when we're looking at like the economies of scale, we go in, maybe we just do 10 more things.
Yeah.
Now I know that there's some plans to change that, and I think Pestily fans are in for a wild ride for the next wipe.
I was actually just about to ask you. I was like, where do you think the strategy is going from here with his channel and everything? Like, is it just keep the same old, or because I mean, his stream is huge, right? And I know that the YouTube is mostly, and I think this is actually quite an interesting thing. And I guess like I'm going to ask like about 6 questions at the same time here of you, and just kind of like what your thoughts are. But like, it's interesting for me how, especially Tarkov YouTubers kind of move from like one thing to another, right? So people start off, they do guides like predominantly, unless you're like a streamer first and foremost, but like,
yeah,
and you're really like super good and like a super good FPS person, like clicking heads like a complete maniac. Most people start making guides, then they move into some other stuff, and then they end up doing like a lot of like playthrough things and a lot of kind of stream and gameplay highlights and that kind of stuff, which is, a lot of the Pestily channel these days is that the raid series. It's hardcore. It's like those kind of like, gameplay centric pieces of content. Yeah, that's why I was kind of like, that's what led me into asking the question about like what's next for that channel, but also like a more general question just about like, I think you said to me offline when we were chatting on Discord before or on Twitter or whatever about like the state of the general Tarkov like creator space, because it's an interesting one. It is an
interesting one. And so to give you some insight into what's coming up, right, you're gonna have to wait and see. Right, I know exactly what the plans are. I know all of this stuff, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
That's fair.
What I know is it's going to be ace, right? There's some really cool stuff coming up, which, whilst I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be a part of it, me leaving has opened the door for everyone to sit down and go, here's a really good moment for us to try some new stuff with some new talent and some incredible new editors that have come in. Like the guys that have come in, it's so much better than me. Incredible when we were watching their videos. Even the guys that didn't make it, like the caliber in that final stage was insane. And I sat there like, why did you even employ me, bro? Like, come on. So the stuff that is going to be coming is going to be really, really good. And I know that people are going to enjoy it. It might upset a couple of people, but whatever.
Yeah, you can't please
out
everybody.
With the old, in with the new. You
can't please everybody, right?
Everyone.
Like if 3% of your viewer base is going to be upset, but you're going to double your viewer base, it's like,
and that brings me on nicely to like the state of the Tarkov content creation world. There's a couple of different ways that you have to sort of approach it, and it depends on the time of the wipe, but you tend to see people go through this cycle where you put out a guide with the intention to like appeal to new viewers, like, and to give people that information. So they're watching your guide, they're on your channel, they see that you create Tarkov content. Now, if your guide's good, they might click on something else.
Yeah.
And they see a title of you wiping out 2 full 5-man squads in labs. They're like, oh, sick, I want to watch that. It's a stream highlight video, or it's a clips video because you don't stream, but you recorded it offline. Now, let's say you've edited that really well and it's really good, it's high impact, it's entertaining. It gets them like, yeah, this was sick, cool. And then they maybe hit that sub button. And then you got your series. So you got your raid series, which is for like your dedicated for your subs. It's your made for YouTube content. It's your never let them down. I think in 3 years, 1 episode was late. And that was my fault because they had to do interviews to replace me. So they had to knock the Friday one on the head and move it to Monday. And that was the only time I think that he's had to ever cancel it.
Interesting.
So, and then as you go through the wipe, you start seeing people do weird stuff. You see a lot of like, let's try and get Kappa by only walking backwards.
That's the mood we're in now, right?
Yeah, the mood we're in now is people turning on the game and going, "What's the weirdest shit that I can do that like people want to watch?"
Yeah,
and there's a risk that the Tarkov community runs, and it risks going into the same space that the Rainbow Six community is in. So, Rainbow Six Siege views are down across the board on YouTube. The game is losing interest. The people that are getting views are the ones that are appealing to people that don't play Siege, but they want to watch heavily edited, entertaining, consumable content.
Yeah.
So they make all of this mad stuff, all of this really crazy hyper stuff that's just every 30 seconds is a viral clip. And that's what they're making in Siege. And that kind of kills everyone that tries to make serious content. Because no one wants to watch the serious content anymore. Yeah. Fortunately, the economy resets on Tarkov are so potent that whenever there's a wipe, everyone starts playing again, and then you get a load of new people on top.
Yeah.
Those new people haven't got a clue what they're doing. They're lambs to the slaughter.
And they have to come back and watch all the guides and all of those things popping off again.
They have to go and do all of that, and then they watch the highlight videos to see how you play. And then they watch the series, and then they watch these things.
Yeah.
And it is a very carefully created structure that all the Tarkov content creators basically doing the same thing. And then it gets a little bit silly, and people start doing silly stuff. And you've got to wonder, obviously the game's going to look really different in a year. But once they start to introduce the persistent world, and they start to introduce, there's the talk of the seasonal, non-seasonal, Path of Exile, Diablo kind of thing. But personally, I actually think that's a really good idea, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. The game in a year's time, like part of me is contemplating not playing the game for a year, right? I've just sat on the game full time for a year, okay? I've got thousands of hours. My account was made in January 2017. Part of me is contemplating not playing the game for a year, just watching the YouTube stuff and just watching everything so I'm keeping up to date with it, and then picking it up in 12 months' time.
You know what? I don't think like if you're not like a maining content on that on this game, I don't and you're just there for the experience. I actually don't think that's a bad idea in some ways. I'm not going to do that because I think it depends. I think it depends. Like if you want that experience, and I actually, this is almost kind of what I was talking to Church about, maybe not last week, but the week before, of like, I'm almost a little bit jealous of those people who are going to come in and play 1.0 and they're going to, see labs for the first time when it actually means something and all of that stuff, right? And play the game the way it's supposed to be right from the outset. And because we've all seen it so many times that you go to these places and it's like and it's like not going to be quite the same, even though it's going to be it'll be super cool when it releases. And we have like the grizzled old veterans like walking out from 0.xx whichever patch it is into 1.0 just like no, back in my day
it
when makes me animations.
Whenever I hear people moaning about stuff, and I'm like, you never played Factory when healing had no animation and it was instant, and fights would go on for 10 minutes, right? Imagine fighting someone in the bathroom, but they're just pressing 4 and they're constantly healing. Heal. You're shooting them and they're healing. So you need to outshoot their healer. And when you didn't used to repack a mag, you used to just drop the stack of bullets on the mag and it was done. Straight back in the gun.
Yeah.
There was none of this downtime in a bush. God. If someone catches me out right now, I'm done.
The game
There was none of
so
that.
much.
It was just drag, reload, heal, done.
Yeah. But I think like on that same vein, right, like I'm super excited for how it's going to be in a year's time as well, and just to see what's going to happen. I think there's going to be some big updates. I think with the whole Streets thing, whenever it comes, I think it's going to be big. And there's the various things that they're bringing out. Like I don't know, I'm excited. I feel like there's enough of the
Streets will
groundwork
be good.
done that Streets will be good. Yeah,
I feel like Streets is going to be a turning point for the company. I feel like Streets is going to be the make or break for this game. If Streets sucks, I think a lot of people are going to hang it up. If Streets is awesome, I think a lot of people are going to be like,
because the thing is like,
this was worth waiting for.
Because if Streets isn't good, like what's next? And then I think a lot of the big thing that everyone's been waiting for, it'll be like the Cyberpunk release or something, where it's like so hyped, and then it comes out and like no one can play or it doesn't work.
I don't think that if Nikita could turn the hype off for Streets, he would, because the amount of pressure that's on them to deliver what was essentially just a new map, right? Just a new map, just more content, and now everyone's like, Streets. When Streets coming out? Like, people have been asking me about Streets for a year, and I'm like, I don't know. I wish I knew, because I want to play it too.
Exactly.
And I just feel like Nikita sits there and he thinks, if we drop the ball on this, we're going to upset tons of people. He's going to upset people either way, right? There's going to be someone that their computer can't run Streets, and they're going to be like, "Oh, it's a trash game."
Reddit's going to explode either which way.
Uninstall Reddit.
I got one lag spike. I'm uninstalling. I'm never playing again.
But like the general consensus, the general gamer, if I turn on Streets for the first time and I walk around, within half an hour, I'll message you, and I'll be like, "Yeah," or I'll be like, "No." It's one of two things. It's
God, I hope it's good. I so hope it's good. But yeah, there's talking about like wipe cycles and stuff. I think there's one creator in particular who pretty much just like matches the wipe cycle one for one, because we're talking about the types of content, and like clearly as a creator, as a budding aspiring creator, I follow what everybody else is doing and just kind of like looking at what's working and what's not working, that kind of stuff, because you just kind of have to if you're in, and I'm interested in that kind of stuff anyway. But there's one guy, actually another UK creator, Piranha, who his entire YouTube channel is just guide videos.
Key boy.
It's
like a database, dude.
It's the Piranha database. It's insane. And if you go on his like Social Blade analytics, it's like the wipe happens and his channel explodes.
So
it's vertical. It's insane. And then now it's like it's quite a lot lower, and that's just like it's very very cyclical with the wipe and who's looking up guides and that kind of thing. But it's so funny, just like his channel's just kind of like the the wipeometer of interest, because it does just it's so seasonal.
And this is just some information. Some people are going to hear this and go, well, duh, like, of course. And then some people are going to go, you're a genius, Brit, right? What Piranha's accidentally done is he's created wipe-sensitive content, okay? What he should be doing, and what any content creator should be doing, and I'm going to ask this now because I've been under a rock for 2 weeks, so basically on holiday, has the wipe been officially announced yet?
No, the wipe has been officially pushed back.
Fantastic. So, in between now and the wipe being officially pushed back, from the point where I thought it was, what I would suggest any content creator that really wants to take this seriously, plan your content around immediate wipe, early game wipe, mid wipe, late wipe, right? So, think about it. Wipe starts. You need to cover everything that's new. You need to cover everything for new players as well. So, Piranha, keys, okay? But also, tasks. Also, starter guide. Also, everything that the new player is going to go, what is this, right? Frankie, when he started working for Paul, hadn't played Tarkov before. So his first week, he was paid to play Tarkov for a week, and he was sat there with a notepad, and he wrote down everything that caught him out, whatever it was. How do I do this? What is this? How, what? Head eyes, question mark, times 10? Excuse me? And then he gave that to Pestily, and we went, how can we build some guides around this, right?
That's so cool.
So you attack it from a new player perspective. What is a new player going to want to know? Can you actually recite that information? Can you explain this to someone? Because if you're a streamer and you're going to make these guides and you're going to stream, you need to be able to kind of not have the wiki on that monitor up there. You know, that's reserved for the radar, not the wiki. You need to be able to answer these questions. So you do the early wipe stuff, and then you have your hooks, like your highlight videos and maybe a series or whatever is your thing. Like maybe you do Mythbusters, right? Love Mythbuster related content for any game. So you do that kind of stuff. And then you think, right, everyone's bored after 2 weeks. What do people want to know? People want to know what happens past level 40. People want to know what happens once you get to this point. And then late game wipe stuff, where people start getting a bit weird.
Yeah.
Plan that weird stuff before the wipe. Like, create a plan. Otherwise, you'll get the tweet saying, wipe tomorrow, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And you're all going to go, fuck. And I tell you now, if you have plans on that wipe, you don't anymore.
Yeah.
Or you wait until the next wipe to get on the train, because it's literally this.
Yeah.
And then it's that. And it's a real slow graph down to nothing. And then the economy reset, and then do this.
Yeah.
So plan it for the different stages. In a perfect world, a wipe is 3 months long, right? Month 1, month 2, month 3. You can plan your content. You can almost have everything ready. You just need the stuff to fit in.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
And I think it makes sense for a seasonal game like Tarkov.
Yeah.
Chat kind of corrected me, by the way. I said officially pushed back. Someone said, well, it's never official. I said, no, it's never official. Nikita said it. Nikita said he wasn't thinking of a wipe, which probably means wipe Thursday, i.e. today. But yeah. Sorry, Church, what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. But I did want to ask, you're talking about like the open world and things of nature, and also describing Tarkov's like relationship with like its content and the cycle of the wipes. And I have a question for you. Have you ever watched any Rust content before?
Yeah.
Brit?
I do like Rust content.
What's interesting about that is it is a wipe, obviously as a schedule wipe cycle and whatnot, but the content to me feels more timeless. It's more like, I guess, it has like the guides and stuff, but also just has like this like storytelling that seems to be like the most popular thing that I see.
Those really epic
videos.
Yeah, they're so good.
Like your classic Wellen. Yeah. Yeah, stuff like that. But like Tarkov doesn't really have that for multiple reasons. And I wonder if like you were maybe sort of alluding to that, if like there was ever a time and space where Tarkov in this like open world-esque environment, you could like tell a true story of your journey from A to B or streets or whatever.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do.
And I don't know if
that would be very good. And I think that would, because there's always cross-pollination between game audiences.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people would watch more Tarkov content. And we try to get there with the raid series.
Yeah.
Where we've got this persistent episodic content.
Right.
But imagine if you could present something like the raid series, but it was a clan war between 2 teams on Tarkov that were constantly battling over the car dealership in the streets. And like it went on for weeks and weeks. And that was presented in the way that the Rust stuff was presented. That then becomes, we call it evergreen content, right? Like the evergreen tree that lasts for fucking ever and is massive.
Right.
Not that plastic tree that sits in a corner that I don't have to water. Which I thought was real for a month, and I was watering it, by the way. Get very tired sometimes, and you just forget. So you try, and that's where you start to tipple into this like evergreen stuff. The problem now wipe happens. Everything on this side, I don't care about anymore.
Yeah.
That's old content, right? One of the best way to prove this point is a lot of big YouTubers, their first month's worth of videos they ever make actually have quite a lot of views, because a lot of people will go back and watch it. A lot of people want to know what the earliest upload of Jacksepticeye is or PewDiePie is.
100%.
I remember years and I don't know, 8 years ago or something, I was on KSI's channel and I was like, oh, what his oldest video is. And it was him playing Modern Warfare 2. I can tell you exactly where on the map he was, what he was doing, and it had like 100k views. I bet you it didn't have 100k views when you loaded it.
Yeah.
If you go back to Tarkov content creators and go to their oldest videos, it's dead content. It's nice to watch because you get to see what Tarkov used to look like. And you also get to have a little dabble and see like how your content creators changed his headset from this to that and how they sound different and what they're doing different. And you get to kind of go, oh, this was cool. But no one's actually seriously watching it.
It makes sense.
And that's as soon as it goes from like, I don't know how they number things, but like as soon as it goes from 0.99999 to 1, everything before there just it's dead.
It's what you were saying, like
movies.
Yeah, exactly. It's what you were saying, Church, before when because like Church recommended me a bunch of Rust stuff to watch, just kind of like for like ideas and inspiration, that kind of thing, and just like to see different content style. Because I'm very limited on my time, and so I haven't watched anything like that really. And so he showed me some of them, and it was just kind of like some guys are speaking in chat as well, just kind of alluding to why Tarkov doesn't work that way. And like as you said, Church, yourself to me, was that a lot of these stories are about revenge and it's about multiple encounters, and that's kind of the issue with like the story driven content in Tarkov, is that like you see somebody once and you die or they die, and then that's it. And even if you both escape, you're not going to be in the same raid again, so there's no like recurrence of like meeting.
True.
And it's that history and that sort of is a relationship between enemies, right, that builds up within something like Rust or even DayZ. It's the consistency of the world and the fact you've got bases and all this kind of thing, right? And that doesn't exist within EFT, and there's no VoIP yet, and so there's kind of no real way for players to properly interact with each other other than just shooting each other on sight. So there's a bit of ways to go before that kind of storytelling loop can get closed in Tarkov, which makes that content kind of hard to make. Like, the best videos I think within EFT are things like, as someone again said in chat, 30x's stuff, which is like, highly edited, like super good content. There's some of the Z-Chum videos I think are just hilarious. They're just like really funny compilations. The editing is just like out of this world on them. And or something like Aqua's, which is a story about his endeavor to do whatever, right? Which is probably the best. It's the closest and best thing you can really get. Unless you're like with a squad, which kind of tells a story. It's like that's the closest you can get to it by doing that kind of thing. And it's just a bit more difficult to get that into EFT, but
it depends what you want to achieve as well. As the creator, I feel like having worked with all sorts of different people across tons of different titles, I feel like you can do whatever the hell you want to do, so long as you can work out kind of the best way to do it. Like we spent quite a lot of time going into raids with nothing equipped and just being
just recording. And
it's boring as hell, and it takes ages to get it done, but you get it done. Now the game isn't really set up to kind of handle that. Will it ever be able to handle that? No, but you could still achieve it. The way that Aqua does things, there's a certain timelessness to that as well, because if you really like Aqua, which most people do, you could go and watch that stuff and have a good time with it.
That's true.
Like Frankie on PC, formerly known as Frankie in 1080p on PC, he did tons of stuff with the DayZ mods and the Armor mods and all of that. And I could still go back and watch his videos. They're 8 years old, because they've got that really epic creativity to them. But if you're just slapping together stream highlights of you killing some people in dorms, and you're like, why does no one watch this video anymore? That's why no one watches that video anymore. You kind of need to, I hate to say it, you need to do something different.
Yeah.
Or be completely happy with the fact that you're not doing something different. It all depends on you. The biggest thing to remember is that the shape of Tarkov now versus what it's going to be is completely different. And there'll be more opportunities to make different content and more content as BSG gives us more content.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The more playground they give us, the more we can play.
Mm-hmm.
And the more stuff that they add in, you know, I mean, stop adding guns. You know, there's enough guns. Don't need more guns.
It's player interaction features, right? It's the VoIPs. It's the, you know, that kind of
VoIP
stuff.
comes in, I swear to God, the whole of YouTube, the landscape's going to change.
God, I'm so excited.
If anyone makes TikToks or short form content, hot mics on Tarkov, the whole, I will probably be tempted to like literally just run around, and even without wanting to create content, I will have my OBS running a replay buffer just for those moments where I'm in dorms and I'm pinned in a corner and I'm like, listen, bro, I will throw my gun out this door right now. Please let me leave. I have got the bronze rocket watch. All right. Please. And then you just got some kid on the other side that's just like, oh, give us everything you got and we'll let you live. And you're like, okay. And you throw it all down on the floor and you try and walk him backwards so he's in line with the window so your buddy over in 2-story can crack him. So you comms with him on Discord and you're like, I'm going to walk him backwards. No, please don't shoot me. The whole game's going to change.
Yeah.
Everything about Tarkov and content creation will be different.
See,
when
even that
comes
tiny little scenario already, like everyone can visualize it in their mind's eye. It's compelling. It's got like stuff behind it. It reminds me of when I used to play DayZ. You have somebody pinned in a hangar. It took us like 45 minutes to get this guy out, and I shot him with a DMR. It was just like, just all of those things. It just like adds so much. And yeah, it might be toxic in some ways, but
level to it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's going to be, you know, we're here at the moment, and there's going to be some really good stuff, and there's going to be some really bad stuff. But in terms of like creation, right, you just cut all the bad stuff and just keep all the good stuff. That's just kind of how it works.
Editors, right? That's what we do. We just
exactly.
We just get rid of all the bad stuff. Plus, that kid that got shot by the guy in 2-story dorms, right? He's learned his lesson. Don't play with your food. Or if you're going to trust someone, completely and inexplicably trust them on Tarkov. You either drill them on site or you completely agree to trust them. That guy's going to learn. He's going to learn his lesson.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
The whole landscape will change when we get VoIP and open world, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be. I think it's going to push a load of players away, but I don't really care for them. It's going to bring a whole new load of players in, and I'm convinced that Tarkov has the potential to literally be the best PC shooter on the market, by far. They need to not cock it up.
Yeah. I agree with you, right? They have all of the makings of something that's going to be brilliant and going to last a long time, but they have to fix certain things. They have to optimize certain things to make the game. To get people to stop complaining about the game. Just fix it to stop people complaining. I don't even care about the bugs. Just stop people complaining about the game. My God.
Yeah. There's an education issue there, though, because people complain about things they don't understand.
Yes,
people complain about Steam Audio for ages. It's nothing to do with BSG. Problems with Steam's end. You know, people complain about server issues. And Nikita has literally said, if you can find me a server in the Middle East that can run better than a potato with a 2 gig RAM stick stuck in the side of it, I'll pay you 10 grand. Like, there's issues above their control that they can't do, but you know, average Joe's just like
exactly.
Ow.
I had one other thing actually. So I'm just taking a bit of a tangent here because I guess we're going to be finishing up fairly soon. But I did want to take a little tangent out because I wanted to ask you about your YouTube channel. Because I know that, well, actually Church linked me to one of your videos and I've seen you've got a new YouTube channel. It's pretty new, right? Like it's been what, a couple of months or something?
Yeah, it's relatively new, yeah.
And you've got maybe 15, 20 videos out there or something?
Oh, not even that.
Was it less? Maybe
It's
10,
definitely less
15?
than that. It's a
I can't
handful at
remember
the
now.
moment.
It looked like, it's just like it's okay. It's like
there's 9 videos on it right
okay,
now.
9 videos. All right. Well,
Yeah, it's a baby.
They just must be just such good quality that I thought there was more content, obviously. But no, in seriousness, right? As an amateur editor, it is very, very useful.
Cool.
I watched the one video that Church sent to me, and then I watched like 4 more, and I was like, "This is the good stuff." So yeah, I think that's cool. Like, what made you start that? You just thought you had some value to bring? Because
people ask me questions a lot. I have this very fortunate. This is going to sound like a really weird flex, and I've tried for a very long time to be as humble about it as possible. I'm in a very fortunate position, and I have been, where I work with some of the biggest creators in the world on the platform. One of my new clients is the 7th highest growing YouTuber of 2020.
Super cool.
I'm a finalist in the esports awards for editing a series.
Amazing.
I've edited the Rainbow Six Siege World Championships for 2021. My CV is fat, right? It would make sense to ask me questions because I've clearly done something right. And whilst I might not be the most technically skilled editor, I'm definitely not the most technically skilled editor. By comparison, the guys that Pestyly's hired in are far more technically skilled than me. There's something that I've done which has got me to this place. So my Discord, my Twitter, DM Central. And it is either, how do I do this? How do I do this? What's this? What's the best way to do this? Or what do you think of this? I'm trying to do that, it's businessy stuff. I want more clients. How do I get more money for this? What do you reckon to this? Do you think this is a good deal? People are very trusting of me with information, right? Which is fine. Like, I don't tell anyone anything, but someone turned around to me and went, "Here's an NDA. Do you think this is a good idea?" And I was
God,
you shouldn't have sent me that. But yeah, this is pretty good. Sign that and send it back. Hope it goes well. So I started answering the same questions over and over and over again. And I learned how to edit by watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Whether it was actually editing YouTube videos from like Peter McKinnon or insert name of editor here, or it was by consuming the content that I wanted to create. So like I've always been a really big fan of a Rainbow Six Siege YouTuber called Marley. And I watched his stuff for literally research purposes. I'd watch it for entertainment value, and then I would watch it for research purposes. Because I'm like, if this guy gets 5 million views a video, there's a reason for it, right?
Yeah.
There's a blueprint. So I thought, I'll make a YouTube channel and I'll answer these questions. If it kicks off and it starts making me some cash money, I ain't got a problem with that. If it doesn't kick off and it continues to help people learn, I ain't got a problem with that.
Win-win.
I think
it's a win-win.
Kick off, honestly, because like the thing is, right, you're already it's like a circular thing. You're already a good editor, right? So you're starting this YouTube channel. You've got the equipment. You can edit your own videos in a really good way, so that people actually want to watch it. You know what people want to watch on YouTube. It's like being a YouTube video editor, starting a channel. It's almost like the perfect thing. So
it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. I think it'll.
I try to say to people, listen to what I have to say, but this might not work for you. But just open your eyes to the bigger picture of it.
Exactly. So. And then one final question from chat, actually. Are you on Twitch? Do you still stream?
No, I don't actually. I do not. But I'm at aSarcasticBrit everywhere. So my Twitch does exist, but I don't stream anymore at all. I'm purely focusing on my own YouTube, being annoying and kind of funny on Twitter, and making good content for other people.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Right. Well, I guess we're probably gonna have to wrap it up, right? That's probably it. Church, you got anything else you want to ask just before we squeak one out before we go, or you all good?
Squeak one out. No, I mean, this was great, dude. I appreciate you coming on. This was like super insightful for myself, and yeah, it's great stuff, man.
I appreciate you being the only people to say, "Hey, do you want to come on our podcast?"
Well, I'm glad we did.
I was like, I really want to go on a podcast. I feel like I got some stuff to share. And yeah, no one else tapped me up. So
crazy. That's crazy. I'm glad. I hope you managed to get everything out that you wanted to say out. So
yeah, there's
if not, you know, you could always come on another time. You know.
Exactly.
I called Thor the Titan for a 20-minute chat the other day about editing something, and we were on the phone till about 3 a.m. It is a bottomless pit.
It really is.
You could sit and talk to me for hours.
I definitely could.
We could just shoot the breeze about editing and Tarkov and YouTube, and
yeah,
it's a whole funnel, man. It's dangerous.
I know. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a blast having you here. It's you got a unique perspective on the space, given that Pestily is basically the biggest creator in our world doing Tarkov only content. And you got a unique insight to that. So it's been fantastic, and thanks for joining us.
No, I appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, just hit me up on Twitter. Just shout at me on Twitter, and I will shout back.
And if you're interested in editing, go and subscribe to him on YouTube, because that stuff is literal gold. If you use Premiere Pro, it's literal gold.
I do this thing where if you ask me to make a video about a subject that you're stuck on, I will make that video. I literally take requests. It's quite fun.
So there you go. There you go. You heard it here. It's the best editing channel on YouTube. And with that, I guess we'll close it then. Yeah. I guess we'll close it.
Thanks again, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Awesome. Catch you later.
Bye, chat.